Welcome to the Goodyear Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address the commission on both non-agenda and agenda items. The agendas and speaker request cards are located in the back of the council chambers. You must fill out a speaker request card in order to address the commission. Please hand in your completed card to a city staff member. You may check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The commission secretary will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes. The timer is on the screens visible from the podium. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear Planning and Zoning Commission meetings stream live on YouTube and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Wednesday, September 11, 2024. This meeting is called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we sit, if you would just join me in a moment of silence in honor of those who lost their lives 23 years ago today on 9/11. Thank you. Will the secretary please note the roll?
Indeed. Commissioner Booth is present, Commissioner Hegedus is present, Commissioner Smith is present, Commissioner Nepomuceno is present, Vice Chair Sambito is present, Commissioner Wang is absent, Chairman Clymer is absent. We have a quorum. At this time, a vote shall be taken to excuse members unable to attend due to extenuating circumstances. Let me do the roll call real quick. One moment. Okay. And can I please have a motion and a second to excuse Commissioner Wang and Chairman Clymer from the meeting? I have a motion from Commissioner Booth, a second from Commissioner Hegedus. Please enter your vote. Just waiting on, there we go. And motion passes.
Item number 1 is to approve the draft minutes of the last meeting. Will the secretary please read the recommendation?
Approve the draft minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on August 14th, 2024. Is there a motion and a second for the staff recommendation? I have a motion from Commissioner Hegedus and a second from Commissioner Nepomuceno. Please enter your vote. The motion has passed.
Now is a time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Are there any speaker cards?
We've not received any.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on a non-agenda item? This is an opportunity for the commission members to disclose any ex parte communications they may have had prior to this meeting on any items scheduled for discussion on this agenda. Ex parte communication is any outside communication commissioners may have had regarding items on tonight's agenda. There is one public hearing on the agenda tonight. As a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommendation board for council. Commission will vote on each item and forward their recommendation to council. Council makes a final decision on all items.
And if I can just confirm that there weren't any ex parte communications?
No.
Perfect, thank you.
I had a brief,
Turn your mic on. There you go.
just for the record, I had I guess an email, one-time communication with the chairman regarding the agenda item from the last meeting, but was nothing, nothing really discussing the agenda item. So,
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. And I will announce, agenda item number 2 is the zoning ordinance text amendment for foul.
I'm going to open the public hearing. Planning Manager Christian Williams will present.
Good evening, Vice Chairman Sambito. Christian Williams, Planning Manager here with the City of Goodyear. And tonight before you, we have a zoning ordinance text amendment related to backyard fowl, or more commonly known as chicken and roosters. So the purpose of this text amendment is to bring the city into conformance with the passage of House Bill 2325 during the 2024 legislative session, which amended Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 6-1 of Arizona Revised Statute by adding Section 9-462.10 related to roosters, chicken, and fowl. The impact of this is that all single-family residential districts will allow up to 6 chickens, and the city may restrict roosters, which this ordinance does propose. And as a note, the law change does not impact homeowners associations, CC&Rs, which are a private matter between that association and its members. So for the particulars of the ordinance, fowl shall be kept in an enclosure and not able to run at large. All fowl enclosures shall be located at least 20 feet from the neighboring property in the side and rear yard. All fowl enclosures shall be a maximum of 200 square feet and a maximum height of 8 feet or the height of the run of their property wall. There are maintenance provisions in here. All fowl shall be maintained and manure picked up and disposed of or composted a minimum 2 times a week. All insects shall be mitigated, and there shall be the prevention of insects. And all water sources will be of adequate overflow discharge to maintain drainage. And all fowl enclosures shall have food kept in a rodent-proof container. With that overview, the proposed text amendment, staff's recommendation is that you forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council to approve the text amendment and bring us into compliance with state law. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions for staff? Christian, how challenging is this going to be to monitor? What type of effort is the city expected to put out to monitor this?
I would envision that if there were insects or rodents or something of that nature, we would hear from our residents, and they are very welcome to use our public stuff notification process to let us know, and then our team members in code enforcement would take a look into that matter.
I understand that our residents who live in larger developments, such as Estrella or Pebble Creek, would have to confirm with their HOA if there's any restrictions or requirements, and I suspect that most of them do have that. How might that impact people's efforts to have the chickens?
Great question. So the state law is really a requirement that cities permit those 6 chickens, no roosters in our case. But again, I would urge every resident to ensure if they want to have chickens, that they're looking at their CCNRs and ensuring that that is applicable to their HOA. And again, always I recommend if you're building a structure or some type of enclosure in your yard, even if it's not a building and doesn't require a building permit, checking in with your HOA, making sure that your board approves that if you are in one of those types of communities.
And in thinking about the way the details of the ordinance were written, if I understood correctly, it would be extremely challenging for someone who had a smaller lot, to actually comply with the distance from the neighbors and the distance from the back. So ideally, someone who doesn't happen to be in an HOA but has a small lot would be severely challenged to be able to host chickens, right?
You're absolutely correct. So for example, if you have a 40-foot wide lot, 20 feet from your neighbor there's no 20 feet from your neighbor any which direction. So the first time you might see that is if there's a lot maybe at 45-foot width. If they have their house set back 25 feet, they might be able to do a 5x5 enclosure in the dead center of their yard, 20 feet from their neighbors. So it might be challenging if you have a smaller lot in this town to do that.
Okay, thank you, Christian.
You're very welcome.
Are there any speaker cards? Oops, there's a question. Oh, sorry about that.
Any reason why roosters were actually excluded from it?
Yes, we excluded or are recommending that you approve it with the exclusion of roosters due to the noise.
Kind of figured. Thank you.
I like to sleep in, so you know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So Christian, just for clarification, there's no minimum lot required on this thing, right?
That is correct. There's
As
no
long
minimum
as
lot.
they have the enough space to do this.
Yes,
the
that's correct.
setbacks.
If it's a single-family home lot in the city, they may have them, but they need to be set back in the enclosure.
Okay.
So, I mean, like he said, if the lot's 40 feet wide, it would effectively be impossible to put it 20 feet from either side.
Well, it is if you have a shed only that's existing there, right? So, I mean, or a much smaller house.
Right.
Right, so.
Right.
Because also clarify about the HOA exclusion on this, if you can.
Yes, this law that the state passed had no impact on HOAs. It was a requirement of the city to allow them, and we're not a party to the CCNRs that are between the HOA as an entity and those private members of that HOA. So I'm not as familiar with Pebble Creek or Estrella or Canyon Trails HOAs, but if they restrict chickens, then they would supersede. I wouldn't say they'd supersede the city, but their CCNRs would dictate that their members may not have those in their yard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Sorry about that, guys. Are there any speaker cards?
We've not received any.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak? Okay. With that, I will close the public hearing. Will the secretary please read the staff recommendation?
Recommend approval of a request to consider a zoning ordinance text amendment to Articles 2-2 definitions, 3-2-2 Table 3-2-2 residential districts use classifications, and 3-2-4 single-family additional use definitions and regulations of the City of Goodyear zoning ordinance to revise definitions in Articles 2-2 definitions, modify conditional uses within Article 3-2-2 residential districts use classifications, and 3-2-4 single-family additional use definitions and regulations, changing regulations related to animal keeping, subject to requirements as reflected in the proposed ordinance 2024-1614. Is there a motion for the staff recommendation or a motion to recommend denial of the staff recommendation? Motion by Commissioner Booth and second by Commissioner Smith. The floor is open for commission discussion.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything they want to add?
Questions after that?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Questions after.
Please enter your vote. The motion has passed. A recommendation of approval will be forwarded to City Council for the September 23rd meeting.
Thank you. Are there any staff communications?
I have a few staff communications. Thank you, Vice Chairman. At the August 14th, excuse me, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, you all voted on the El Cedro 9th restated PAD, and you also recommended 2 stipulations. That item did go to the City Council on their August 26th meeting. It passed by a vote of 6-1, and it was recommended with your 2 stipulations related to roof height and the stepping down of buildings. So that item was approved. In addition to that, at that meeting, you all voted on a zoning ordinance text amendment related to gas stations and automotive gas stations and truck stops, convenience stores. That did go to City Council on Monday for a work session, and based on the feedback from that work session, that item will not be moving forward as a zoning ordinance text amendment. In addition, you might recall that back in March, you did have conversations in a work session with staff related to drive-throughs and automotive repair. Those items will also not be moving forward to the council for a work session or for a vote in a zoning ordinance text amendment. Future zoning ordinance text amendments related to those types of items might come forward in the future as part of a more cohesive zoning ordinance rewrite, because as many of you are aware, our zoning ordinance has not been rewritten since 1999. So if those types of efficiency text amendments come forward, it would come forward likely through that process. I'll also make note that in the near future, you will see a zoning ordinance text amendment that is related to House bills that were passed by the state legislature, one in particular related to accessory dwelling units. So you should expect to see that come before you this fall so that it may be ratified before the state deadline of January 1st, 2025. You'll also see coming before you in the near term likely the design guidelines update. So
Thank
those
you,
are the staff
Christian.
communications.
Oh, thank you. The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on October 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Goodyear City Hall Council Chambers. There being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned.